Hi, my name's Cale Wolf, and I'm going to talk about biofeedback, biofeedback sensors, and some biofeedback applications that people are using today. So first, what is biofeedback? Well, essentially, it's the process of acquiring a greater sense of many physiological functions, and those include, monitoring pain receptors to brain waves to muscle tone of a user. And the goal of using biofeedback is to be able to better control these functions and really understand these functions in specific environments. And basically, once people understand how these functions work on more of a subconscious level, we can improve health, performance, and the physiological changes that are present with the thoughts or emotions that people are having while they're undergoing some sort of biofeedback research. And the way that they use the biofeedback research is, or they do the biofeedback research is the sensors that they have hooked up. And there's many different kinds of sensors. There's the most common like EEG, or as you can see down here, there's EMGs, EDGs, and Intel has a popular commercial product called RealSense technology. And all of these basically center around giving the most amount of data to the user as possible and basically making sure that they can interpret that data to then be able to interact with whatever system that they're taking part in. So pretty much there's many different instruments, and there's no one market that biofeedback sensors fall to. So it's everything from, measuring, like we were talking about, muscle tone or heart rate. So some of the applications is where it gets really interesting, because like I said, there's many different types of sensors, and that means that there's many different applications of biofeedback systems. And some of the examples would be applications in pain reduction. Financial decision making is an interesting one. There's a program that I was reading about, which is a small game that a company would have their employees take part in before making like big stock decisions and spending a lot of money. And it just makes sure that these people have their emotions in check. So it can be very beneficial. And EEG research, which is done, there's a lot of this at ASU, and I'm sure some of you have probably done some of the research participation with EEGs. I'm going to be doing that. And even just gaming recently, people have been using biofeedback in gaming, which is pretty interesting. And oftentimes biofeedback exists in professional environments like medical or research environments, just because they stand to benefit the most in those fields. They stand to learn the most and then be able to disseminate that information through the research studies. And pretty much they're trying to correlate the person's thoughts or feelings with some specific variable being tested. For example, we have a research opportunity coming up checking on how people respond to searching for information on a laptop versus a tablet, and they're going to be hooked up to an EEG biofeedback sensor. And then there's more fun applications where there's a new game that I saw, which is called Nevermind, and it's a psychological horror type of game where you're essentially a psychologist, and you kind of get into the heads of some of your patients, and it gives you a in-depth first-person experience of that. And the core concept, it's pretty interesting. It uses biofeedback technology like a heartbeat sensor. So it does things similar to what Fitbit does, and they have a bunch of different sensors that you can use, all compatible with their game. And basically, when you start to become scared or anxious, the game is going to respond and change the environment around you to show that you're feeling anxious and you're feeling stressed out by, the psychological horror aspect of the game. So it's definitely an interesting gaming application, one of the first ones that I've seen done pretty well, and I think that that's also going to be an area that could be pretty big, especially with virtual reality headsets coming out soon. So yeah, that's pretty much biofeedback in general, a brief explanation of it, and some of the tools that people use today, and some of the applications, or the more interesting applications of biofeedback that I've seen. Once again, I've been Kale Wolf, and thank you for listening to my presentation.